March meeting of the Wood County Board of Supervisors to order. I would ask the clerk please take the roll and that everyone sign in. I can see that everyone who is going to be here today has signed in. And at this point, I would ask Supervisor Moody to come forward for the invocation. When Ruth reaches the front here, I'd ask everyone to please rise and then remain standing for the pledge of allegiance.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Since yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, I'd like to add and we always want to be all Irish on St. Patrick's Day. So today I'm going to read an Irish blessing. May your joys be bright as the morning, and your sorrows merely be shadows that fade. In the sunlight of love, may you have enough happiness to keep you sweet, enough trials to keep you strong, enough sorrows to keep you human, enough hope to make you happy, enough failure to keep you humble, enough success to keep you eager, enough friends to give you comfort, enough faith and courage in yourself to banish sadness, enough wealth to meet your needs, and one thing more, determination to make each day a wonderful day than the day before.
Thank you. Please join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Thank you, Ruth. I think before I get started today, I want to take the opportunity. I think I probably, in this case, rarely speak on behalf of the entire board, but this will be the last time that this board as a whole is seated in exactly this configuration. And I certainly want to thank everybody for the work that they did. A lot of work was done during this last 2-year period. This is probably one of the first boards that I remember in an awful long time that actually has met 25 times, not 24. We have wrapped up the Human Services program that we put together where we combined Unified and Social Services. That happened a couple of years ago, was wrapped up. We obviously took on the labor issue this time with Act 10 and the fallout there and a wage study, and you've all worked hard. And I'm sure that you all would express those people who had the opportunity to send you here their thanks. And I would like to thank everybody for their participation during that time, because you really do take a lot of time out of your schedules to be members of this board. And we all come here with different views. We come at it from different angles sometimes, but I don't think there's a single person out there that doesn't run for public office who their ultimate goal is to make the community they live in a better place. And I think everybody came here with that in mind, so I thank all of you. With that being said, I guess we can go to the minutes from the previous session. And I have a motion to approve by Supervisor Fire. I have a second by Supervisor Mahan. Is there any discussion on those minutes? Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Excusals today, we have two. We have Supervisor Rosar and then Supervisor Al Warden called me this morning, and he is excused also. We have no resignations today. We have no appointments. We have no reappointments. And I know we have at least one public comment, if not more. Jason Angel is here from Marshfield. One of the things we asked was for some updates and accountability on what we do from an economic development perspective, and I know this is at least 2 months in a row that Jason's been down here. So Jason, microphone's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to be down here this morning because as the county has asked for some accountability as far as the funding that you provided to our Economic Development Board efforts. And once again, I want to thank you for those funding sources that you're helping us to advance different projects related to our Economic Development Board. A couple of weeks ago, I was down visiting with Ms. Hildy Hinkie and the seed committee, providing a verbal update there. And what I plan to do is do a quarterly update in person to that body, but also provide copies of documents. Included in your report or in your packet this time was our annual economic development report, along with a copy of an RFP that we're doing for a redevelopment project. I also gave updates on a housing study that we are doing, and very soon in the coming weeks we will be doing a public presentation. And if it's okay, Mr. Chair, I will provide a copy of that public notice to the county clerk so that she can distribute it to this body. And so anyone that plans to or wishes to attend that meeting will have the information. But we'll let you know all about the housing study and where we plan to go with that at a future meeting, probably in 2 or 3 weeks. So once again, I just want to say thank you, and I'm here for any questions that you might have after the meeting, or you can contact me at any time. Thanks.
Thank you, Jason. Any other public comment? Do we have any other public comment today? One more time, going once, twice, 3 times, all right, we're through public comment. Acknowledgements and recognitions, we have a couple of this month. It is Grasslands Month, April of 2014. One of those celebrations would include the Central Wisconsin Prairie Chicken Festival. Supervisor Clendenning, do you have anything, or go ahead, go to a microphone if you want to. And then just, again, state your name for the body.
Yeah, Dave Sullivan here. I'm the owner of XL Lawn Care in Wisconsin Rapids. I had seen in the paper yesterday, they were talking about the railroad crossing blockages. Are they going to discuss that today?
There's actually, this would go under the public comment part, that's fine. This is
Yeah, that's
there's a
what I-
resolution on the floor today dealing with that blockage, those delays.
Can I speak on that behalf now? Or?
Yeah, this would be absolutely the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, as I said, I own a small business, XL Lawn Care. The location of the business is at 1741 Bono Avenue, and I reside at 2610 Bono Avenue. So I live on the west side of town, heading towards Vesper. I just wanted to make a few comments about the blockages. On a daily basis, I run into issues with trains that are parked on the roadway. Sometimes they're there for long periods of time. The minimum is usually like 15 minutes. The average is 20 to 25. I have a travel distance of probably 1 mile from house to job, but I also, the railroad tracks is located in the center. For me to get around that train, I usually have to travel 2.5 miles to get around through the city, back around to my location. As a business, what I do is I put bids according to size and structure. So I get paid by the job, I don't get paid by the hour. So time is money. It's accurate to say this is a hindrance to me and maybe a hindrance to others. So I oppose the blockages, and I am hoping that the county can come up with a solution to either fine or get the trains to move along or shorten the blockages. There are times when the train is there, I would say the engine and one car are over the tracks for a long period of time, which is quite a delay. I don't understand why it's there like that, but it is. And there's also a time that I want to note that I had seen a blockage of a train on Bono Avenue. I had took a different route. I went down 17th, and I had noticed an inspector inspecting the train cars, writing down numbers and inspecting the brake lines as the train was blocking the road. Now, I don't understand why that train could have been moved, but he was holding up traffic to check the cars. And another situation I have is we have a lot of people coming from surrounding areas such as Vesper, Arbondale, Marshfield, and surrounding areas. They may want to come into work, they may want to come into shop, and what's happening is they're not permitted to do it in a timely fashion because the trains are holding them up. So I'm sure this is a hindrance to them as well. And I've lived in the community my whole entire life. I'm 43. And I think we got to do this in a better fashion to try and get the trains to move faster or dislocate or something, you know. But the blockage is causing me problems, and I think it's a headache for many people in the community. Is there any question?
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
You bet. Okay, Goes back to the acknowledgements.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, that used to be the Wildlife Committee was in charge of the annual Prairie Chicken Festival. However, they have dissolved that committee. So maybe Ruth would have something on it. She's on that executive board for it.
Does anybody want to add anything? I just know you both sat on that committee. If not, it's there. We are recognizing it. It is grasslands.
I didn't bring all the extra stuff today, but I do have a lot of information, and we will be putting up posters. They're going to have an open house in the Children's Museum, and it'll be a month-long affair this year rather than a week.
Thank you. It is also under those acknowledgement recognitions, National Public Health Week. And there's a handout on your desk. Sue, did you want to add anything to that? No? Okay, there's a handout on your desk. Take a look at that. That brings us down to special orders of business, and we have none this month, which will get us right into the packet. So, you're surprised that you want one? I'll let you do one. All right, there are some referrals in your packet. We had 5 of those. They went to the appropriate people. And obviously, you're taking a look at those now if you haven't previously. Page 11 of your packet is the Executive Committee meeting minutes of Tuesday, February 18th. Page 12, their meeting of Tuesday, March 4th, as well as 13 and 14. The Wellness Board meeting of February 7th on 15 and 16. Comments from Maintenance on 17, from the Finance Department on 18 and 19, the summary from Systems Department on 20, 21, Safety and Risk Management, their comments on 22, and then comments from the County Clerk on 23. Anything you want to add with the election coming up?
No, the spring election is April 1st. Everybody get out and vote. No statewide offices on the ballot. You'll see school board and county board supervisor and local offices. A lot of election law changes, of course, in the legislature, though none of those that you're hearing about, if you're hearing about them, maybe you don't pay attention as much as I do, none of those will be in effect for the April 1st election.
I'll just add a comment. I happened to be at a meeting this week, and I was there with the former Deputy Secretary of the Department of Natural Resources who oversaw the Prosser recount. And he caught me in the hall and he said, I want to compliment your clerk's office for running the most efficient election process he had ever seen. He said, I didn't even spend any time there. They were so good. So I want to thank you for what you did.
I remember him.
And he just caught me in the hall to say that. So obviously we do a pretty good job there. Human Resources, their letter of comments, 24. Trent's letter to the board from the WCA organization personnel steering committee meeting on 25. And then that brings us, are there any questions on that executive committee portion? No questions there. That brings us to the first resolution in the packet, that is page 27, and I ask the clerk to please read the resolution.
This will be Resolution 14-3-1 to amend the 2014 budget of the Building Maintenance Department for additional expenditures that weren't anticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, the amendment to the budget totals $54,000.
Okay, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Need a motion by Hendler, a second by Bride. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Any discussion? Please vote. We're going to see how this goes today. We moved Supervisor Moody up. She was in a dead spot there. You're still in a dead spot. There we go. Their resolution passed 17-0. Second resolution in your package, page 20, or packet, page 29. This resolution comes from the Executive and Judicial and Legislative Committee.
This will be Resolution 14-3-2 to establish the rate of pay for the Clerk of Courts and Sheriff for their next terms of office beginning January 2015. Fiscal note, the 2015 base rate for these officials, clerk of courts, $73,628, and sheriff, $107,598,000.
I have a motion by Clendenning and a second by Wagner to approve this resolution. Is there discussion on this resolution? Any discussion? If not, please vote. This seems to be getting worse, not better. We got a number that are not confirmed yet. If you can keep trying, there we go. There's one of them. Jared, there we go. And then we're still working on Supervisor Moody's.
Must be me.
There we go, halfway there.
So,
I'm glad we only, thank you very much. That resolution also passed 17-0. I'm glad we only have a few resolutions in the packet today. We're going to be working on this again next month. They had some other pressing business and systems, but high on the list of priorities is to get this issue resolved next month. Brings us to the Health and Human Services Committee meeting of February 24th on page 31 and 32. The Health Department report, 33, 34, 35, and 36. The Veteran Services Office report, 37 and 38. Edgewater Haven report, Amy Slatter's report on 39 and 40. Some census, outpatient census activity report, 41. In the packet, the Wood County Human Services Department report, starting with Director Redder's report. And I'm going to give you a minute to go through those. I'm not going to read each one of those subheadings, but it's pages 42 to 51. So we'll give you some time to thumb through those, 42 to 51. If you made any notes for questions. Any questions on any of that? Everybody good? Okay, that takes us again, another large amount of information in the packet. I assume you've all read this at home. It's the Wood County FSET Vision, 52 to 66, pages 52 to 66. I know a number of committees and people have been briefed on this. Anybody make any notes or have any questions there that need to be answered? All right, page 67 of your packet is the minutes of the Wood County Public Safety Committee of February 10th, as well as 68, 69, 70. Same committee minutes, March 10th, on 71, 72, 73, 4. Questions there? The Wood County Traffic Safety Commission meeting, February 26th on 75 and 76. The Humane Officers Report for January on 77. The Coroner's Monthly Activity Report on 78. Pages 79 through 84, various overtime and other figures, jail population figures from 79 to 84. Electronic monitoring figures, all of the above are in there. So that's 79 to 84. No questions? Page 85 of the packet, again, Humane Officer Kinney's report for February. Coroner's Monthly Activity Report on 86. And then there is a letter in there from the Wood County the Wood County Public Safety Committee, and this is summarizing the move to Norwood. We've been working on this for quite some time in a lot of different configurations, but we will get that resolved at some point, as well as 88 there. Pages 89 through 94, again, more facts, figures from the jail, electronic monitoring, safety report. Any questions on any of those? Okay. No questions. That brings us to page 95 of the packet. That is a resolution from the Public Safety Committee. And I would ask the clerk to please read the resolution.
This will be ordinance 14-3-3 to set forth in the county's code of ordinances the adoption by reference of the state statute regulating trains obstructing highways so that citations can be utilized for violations of the law, and to also set forth in the county's code of ordinances a catch-all provision that provides that any act required to be performed or prohibited by Wisconsin statute that can be incorporated herein are so incorporated by reference so that citations can be utilized for those violations.
Motion to approve by Fire and a second by Murphy. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Any discussion? Supervisor Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One question that came up to me was, if you're going to issue a citation, who's it going to be against, the engineer or the company? Company? Thank you.
Supervisor Wagner. Yeah, on the microphone, then everybody will hear.
Yeah, we have an ordinance similar to this in Marshfield. We have trains blocking the roads a lot. We find the company and they pay it, which is, very little.
We want them to move.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But we do want them to move, but we figure if they pay the fines, then somebody's going to get his head chewed off rather than pay it, so the train will move, with a little luck anyway. But anyway, it's a very effective thing, and I fully support this ordinance.
Any other, Supervisor Clendetti?
Isn't that true? It's only a $100 fine?
County with 250 plus costs.
I mean, does our ordinance, they're going to work on it and address it? Is that correct?
Does somebody from the committee want to address that, or the sheriff? We answer one Supervisor Clendetti's question.
The fine will be 250 plus costs.
Supervisor Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one follow-up. But Supervisor Wagner, if we've got an ordinance like this in Marshfield, have you seen some difference in blockages?
I'll yield to the chairman of the...
Supervisor Fire.
I would say that, if you give one citation, it doesn't have an effect. By the time you get to about the third one, someone's knocking on your door and wanting to clarify. So it's been helping because we've had some blockage problems going out towards the frac sand people, which we hadn't had the railroad run for years. And a couple complaints, and we've got them to quit stopping in front of, in a crosswalk or a roadway. And it works real well on Main Street. The only problem we have in Main Street is the trains are so doggone long that 20 minutes, sometimes you could have a 20, 25-minute train moving. But it does work, and it's worth the effort, and I would fully support this. It's one way to get, you do get the railroad's attention when you start to making it a monetary thing. They don't like to spend money.
Supervisor Viner.
And just from strict experience, I used to drive in Marshall every day, and then I come down here, so I witnessed both. And I'll tell you what, the trains hightail through Marshfield compared to where they are in Rapids. The wait time is not even close in Marshfield as it is down here.
Any other comments? All right, if not, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. No, mine's not going. And I can't get any closer. Ken, keep push. There we go. And Mary, one more. There we go. That resolution also passed 17-0. Thank you. Page 897 in your packet, minutes of the Conservation, Education, Economic Development Committee of Wednesday, March 5th, as well as 98, 99, 100. We start with the Golden Sands Resource Conservation Development Council's meeting, starting with their regular business executive committee meeting on 101 and running through various committee meetings going through page 110. And I'll give you some time to go through those and see if anybody has any questions there.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Moody.
I spent Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, came back Wednesday afternoon, Golden Sands Conference in Appleton. We had only one resolution that we passed, that's all the counties passed that were there, and that was to make the DNR be more open about what's going on and that they do not automatically give out permits. So it has to go to be studied and whatever. And
Thank you for the update.
that passed from the counties at the state level, so.
Thank you. Page 111 in your packet, report from Jason Gruberg, Planning and Zoning Director. A number of reports will start there, 111, 112, 113, and 114, all from that Planning and Zoning Office. Any questions there? All right, reports, UW Extension, Peter Manley's report on 115, and reports from various agents out of that office go through page 122. So we'll go through those 115, 16, 17, 18, all the way to 122. Are there any questions on any of those programs? No? Okay, page 123 in your package, report starting with Jerry Storks from the Land Conservation Office. That's 123. 124. 125. Supervisor Henkel, I think you might have an announcement here, huh?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I wanted to note that our engineering technician, Shane, was awarded the Outstanding Land Conservation Technician for 2013 last week at the Wisconsin Land and Water Conservation Conference. This is, as I can recall, the second time we've had some of our staff recognized down there, and I think it reflects very well on our department and the way that they proceed, sometimes under difficult situations.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure we recognize him. You know, this award we just had recently Justin Conner elected as the president of the WLIA. And that will morph right into page 127 when we start the minutes. It's the minutes of the Judicial and Legislative Committee. One of the events that they attend is the regional meeting, which we'll have minutes on also. But I think what was unique there, or starting to become somewhat common, is Wood County is recognized for a number of the programs we do. We had great representation up at that meeting yesterday from our county officials. And whether we're talking, joint dispatch, drug court, human services, child support, we are really looked to as a leader there. And it's been recognized by those legislators that are sitting in that room. I bet they mentioned, I know, we certainly had a number of them there, Ed, Bill Murphy, Jerry was there yesterday. They must have mentioned Wood County a handful of times on the programs that we ran. So I appreciate your attendance at those meetings. So page 127, minutes of the Judicial and Legislative Committee of February 19th. Continue on 128. And then the Joint Legislative Committee minutes from December 2nd. That's where I was talking, that recognition was noted from. It's 129, 130, 131. Page 132, Child Support Enforcement monthly update to the committee. The update from Corp Counsel Kastenholz in his report on 133. Pages 134 to 138, various notices of injury and claim. Assume you've reviewed all of those. Brings us to page 139 in the packet, and that's a resolution from the Judicial and Legislative Committee.
This will be Resolution 14-3-4 to ratify the Executive Committee's overseeing of negotiations with the City of Marshfield for the extension of the Marshfield City Hall lease. Fiscal note, none at this time.
We have a motion to approve by Supervisor Nelson, a second by Supervisor Murphy. Any discussion on this resolution? Any discussion? Please vote. Keep pushing on it, Bill.
And what I just noticed with Ruth too, is she's been pressing hers, leaving it sitting flat on the desk and not lifting up. Remember that handout I handed out a couple weeks ago, saying just that, to leave them sitting flat. Believe me, we're doing more testing and we're talking with, but truly, I've just noticed Ruth has been doing that and it's worked quite well.
It just worked there. I should have read that memo. Because I didn't think it might have
Okay, you
too.
set an example.
There's some people's emails that just get filed. Thank you again. That resolution passed 17-0. Second resolution from the Judicial and Legislative Committee, as well as the Executive Committee in the packet, page 141. I'd ask the clerk to please read that resolution.
This will be Resolution 14-3-5 to establish a salary for the Wood County Administrative Coordinator position, and in doing so, give better recognition to the workload and responsibilities associated with that position. Fiscal note, the proposed $20,000 annual salary of the Administrative Coordinator would replace the current $405 per month paid to the County Board Chairperson. For calendar year 2014, the budget impact would be $15,000. 9/12 of $20,000 minus $3,645, which is 9 times $405, for a total of $11,355. Funds have not been budgeted for this, and therefore a transfer of $11,355 from the available balance in the contingency account to the Committees and Commissions account is needed. The current balance in the contingency account is $450,000.
You've heard the reading of the resolution. I have a motion by Hendler, a second by Bry. Discussion on this resolution. Supervisor Winch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have some reservations about this, and that dates back to when they had the ad hoc committee considering the full-time administrator or coordinator. Back then, we were told that if it was a labeled administrator or administrative, the job description would then be dictated by the state. If it were a coordinator, then the job description could be designed by the county. And now we're labeling it administrative coordinator. How does that relate to what I just mentioned?
That would be decided by the county, but I'll defer to Pete. The duties of an administrative coordinator can be defined by the county.
This doesn't change the...
An administrator has statutory authority. Is that a true statement, Peter?
Yes.
Okay.
So this would have no effect that the county can still dictate the job description, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. The other part of that is that, well, back then, I was in favor of a full-time administrator, and I still am. I'm not so sure that this part-time, I understand where you're coming from, and our current chairman is doing a super job. And I understand all of that, but I wonder if we wouldn't be better off if we spent our money for a time study or an efficiency company to come in and take a look at what we're doing and go back to considering a full-time administrator or coordinator, however you want to label it. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Supervisor Nelson.
Well, this has been something I've been interested for many years, and I've been unsuccessful. And with the opportunity right now with the vacancy in the HR director coming up shortly, I feel that we should look at the HR position and an administrator position combined, which would take a load off of the coordinator, and it would, I think the two positions would be very beneficial, and it would work well, and we would have professional administrator with the department heads and so forth. And I'm not conjuring up any comment or criticism as the past has gone by, but I think we should seriously look at that. And I agree with Mr. Winch, which I always do, except in one instances, he wears the wrong colors. But I think this is something we should seriously look at this particular time.
Any other comments? Supervisor Clendenin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, our committee worked on this, and I was also on the ad hoc committee. And I just want to say that we have 19 supervisors, and an administrative coordinator or whatever you have in a full-time position just does the work of the county board. You know, if we had a county exec, I think a lot of counties with county executive shoot it right down to 5 supervisors. You'd have nothing to do. This way here, you're more involved. We're committee orientated in this county, and I like the way it works. You got things to do and things to look up in between meetings. And I think that's real important. With an administrator, that's who you see at conventions and conferences and telling what their county is doing. So I'm very much satisfied with this resolution.
Any other comments? Any comments, Supervisor Henry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been on the board now for 8 years, and I really appreciate the job that Lance Penn has done in this capacity. I think he's giving this county, I think, a lot of visibility on the state level and on the local level, and he's done a marvelous job. And just look at the things that we have accomplished throughout the years. But that doesn't prevent us from going beyond this particular point. I think we can take our time and analyze the situation and perhaps come up with some sort of a compromise in getting some sort of an administrative blend with HR combined. I think it's advantageous to us. It'll save the county money. And I kind of like that idea that Mr. Nelson and Mr. Glendening brought up. But at the same time, I think this particular resolution merits its approval, because this individual has gone above and beyond the $406 a month. And I appreciate that. Thank you, Lance.
Supervisor Mayer.
And I'm going to disagree with Mr. Hammer. This has nothing to do with the current county board chairman. This resolution has absolutely nothing to do with who presently sits in that seat. I take nothing away from my good friend sitting to my left. But this resolution has to do with how we treat basic county governance in this county. It was decided that we are going to stay with what we are at this point. I'm not saying that it doesn't change in the years to come, but when I look back on my 10 years on this board, the duties of us have changed dramatically since I first got on. We went from 38 to 19. There's a lot more to this than there once was, and there's a lot more to the county board chairman's position than there once was. So I disagree that it has anything to do with the incumbent. It has something to do with what we expect out of that position from now on going forward. I do support it. I support this resolution, but it has nothing to do with the current incumbent.
Yeah, I can't speak to the resolution. I appreciate that, but it is the position, and we do have a reorg coming up here shortly. But any other comments on the
I do.
Supervisor Henry?
I disagree with Trent Lino. I think we should just, if we're going to look at future governance of this organization, I think then we should also look at the vice chair, the chair people, the supervisors, the parliamentarian, and of course the chaplain. I mean, you can carry this thing on, but I agree wholeheartedly with the move. Thank you.
Supervisor Wagner?
Basically, when the thing was in committee, we looked at it, we tried not to deal with the larger question of what the future is going to be and whether or not there will be a county administrator or an executive of some type in the future. We just basically wanted to recognize the way things are now. And the way things are, well, I think it started back in, I think it was 1999 that the state passed a law that said that every county had to have either a county administrator or a county administrative coordinator. And our board said that that county administrative coordinator would always be our chairman. The duty, the things that administrative coordinator has to do, and I agree with Trent, it's regardless of the person in the job, it's the job itself, the job description itself of basically running the business of the board and making sure everything is coordinated so that resolutions make it to the packet on time and the committee meetings are called properly and so forth and so on. That takes a lot of time and there should be some compensation for it. And basically the amount of compensation we're recommending here is meager, admittedly meager, for the responsibilities that are involved, but it recognizes that the way things are now and the way things will be until the board, when and if in its wisdom the board decides to make a change. And they may do it. They may do it sometimes, they may not. But that's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with recognizing that the administrative coordinator's position is worth more than we're paying it. And that's the only thing this resolution does.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any other comments? All right. Supervisor Curry? You just got that hand in there.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Listening to this discussion, I wouldn't say I was confused, but I read over the resolution again, and we are defining, am I right in this assumption? That's a wrong, terrible word, but we are defining what the administrative coordinator is responsible for in the third whereas. Compared right now, am I right in assuming that we don't, that doesn't exist, that you, as the chairman administrator, you assume those jobs?
That's somewhat, here I'll just speak to it, but that is somewhat true to some extent. I don't know that we've actually had a formal list of duties. There are certain, but I don't know if there's ever been a formal list. Supervisor Wagner, Danny, you've worked on this committee.
Yeah, so that basically is a work in progress on this. But just as Supervisor Himmler had indicated, this is something to work on. What if we end up with a county board chairman that does not have the time to do this? And we're laying out those rules and not rules so much as a job description for it.
Any other questions? Supervisor Winch?
Thank you again. Just a little side note, I happened to get the Lakeland Times in last week one day. There was a big article in there, and I forget what county it was, but up north they were concerned about this exact position, being that they had a $50 million budget. And I'd have to agree with that, and that's one of the reasons I favor a full-time administrator. We've got 123 million? Somebody needs to be looking over. What's that?
91.
91, well, whatever. But the point is that I think we need to have somebody here full-time administrating that or watching over it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other? Supervisor Hankel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to point out this isn't about personalities. It is about responsibilities, and it's not only the responsibilities of the administrator and the county chairman, it's the responsibilities that fall on us all as supervisors to select a county chairman and administrator who is able to carry out what needs to be carried out. So it's not a job description so much for him as it is for us. We have to do a good job selecting a county chairman.
Any other comments? Any other comment? All right, please vote. We're working on it right now.
Move it off to the side so it's not bouncing off of us.
As Marion's working, I oftentimes say, I'm up here and sometimes you feel kind of like the Wizard of Oz, you know. The real brains are behind the curtain, and she kicks me under the desk and says, don't forget to tell them. But I get reminded often of what we need to do. No luck there, Marion, yet? There we go. There you go. That resolution passed 16-1. That brings us to page 143 in the packet, the minutes of the Highway Infrastructure and Recreation Committee, as well as 144, 145, and 146. Current project update from the Highway Department on 147. Various Parks Department reports starting on 148, 149, 50. The Forest Administrator's report on 151. Are there any questions on anything in their reports? No questions there. We have 3 resolutions here through the voting that all deal with becoming eligible for various trail maintenance and trail improvements. These are state dollars that are derived from gas tax and registrations. Is there any objection? We've done these for as long as I've been around, year in, year out, to accept these monies. Is there anybody opposed to taking these 3 resolutions as a single item? No? Okay, we're going to take these 3 together.
All right, we're on item 6-1. This will be numbered resolution 14-3-6 to become eligible for maintenance monies on the existing Wood County ATV trail in designated area of Township 22 North, Range 5 East, Section 31 and Section 32 for the 2014-2015 season. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County, total reimbursement from the State Aid Registration Fund and donated services by the Central Wisconsin ATV Riders Club account. We're on item 6-2, which will be numbered resolution 14-3-7. To become eligible for snowmobile trail maintenance monies on the existing trails on county and private lands for the 2014-2015 snowmobile season. No cost to Wood County, total reimbursement from the state snowmobile aid account. Item 6-3, which will be numbered resolution 14-3-8, to become eligible for snowmobile trail development and maintenance monies for proposed trail and bridges on county and private lands for the 2014-2015 snowmobile season. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County, total reimbursement from state snowmobile aid account.
A motion to approve by Minor and a second by Mahan. Is there any discussion on these resolutions? Any discussion on any of those 3? All right, all in favor? Well, forget that, let's vote. We've had so much luck with the voting machines that I was thinking we'd do but we're not. That voice vote might not have been a bad idea. There we go. That resolution passed 17-0. Thank you. Page 159 in your packet, Aging Disability Resource Center, Central Wisconsin, January 9th, as well as 160 and 161. There are minutes from the Finance Committee on 162. Any questions on the ADRC? Central Wisconsin State Fair Board minutes of January 20th on 163, 164, 165. The Central Wisconsin State Fair Board minutes of February 17th on 167, 168, 169. McMillan Memorial Library Board of Trustees, January on 171, 172. South Central Library System Board of Trustees on 173 and 4. the Space Needs Implementation Committee minutes, February 25th on 175. And that brings me to the end of this packet. At the start of this meeting, I thanked everybody for their participation over the last 2 years. Keep in mind that that doesn't end, although we had the last full board meeting today, that doesn't end until the new board is seated on April 15th. So one more month of hard work, but again, from a public standpoint, that recognition, I want to make sure everybody's recognized. Again, that's all I have. Does anybody else have anything that needs to come forward? Supervisor Ashbeck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got these passed out from the Marshall Utilities about sodium and salt in the water and that. And I was invited up to a convention up there where they had 3 demonstrations. One was the salt put on the roads, how we could save salt by spreading different ways and different alternatives, and what your hot water softener does into your plumbing in the house if you had the old-fashioned water softener. So it was kind of interesting, and the health hazards of too much salt in your drinking water. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn by Hinkle, second by Murphy. Any discussion on that? No. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.